Good day. We're going to present to you the Step 7 on research methodology.
Processing data. In this chapter, you will learn about methods for processing data in quantitative studies, how to edit data and prepare data for coding, how to code data, how to code qualitative data in quantitative studies, methods for processing data in qualitative studies, analyzing data in qualitative and quantitative studies, the role of computers in data analysis, and the role of statistics in research. If you were actually doing a research study, you would by now have reached a stage where you have either extracted or collected the required information. The next step is what to do with this information. How do you find the answers to your research questions? How do you make sense of the information collected? How do you prove or disapprove your hypothesis if you had one? How should the information be analyzed to achieve the objectives of your study? To answer these questions, you need to subject your data to a number of procedures that constitute the core of data processing. Steps in data processing. First one is the qualitative and quantitative raw data. Second is the editing. Third is the coding. And fourth is the analysis. Part 1. Data processing and quantitative studies. Editing. Process of cleaning. Irrespective of the method of data collection, the information collected is called raw data or simply data. The first step in processing your data is to ensure that the data is clean, that is free from its inconsistencies and incompleteness. This process of cleaning is called editing. Editing consists of scrutinizing the complete research instrument to identify and minimize as far as possible errors, incompleteness, misclassification, and gaps in the information obtained from the respondents. Sometimes, even the best investigators can forget to ask a question, forget to record a response, wrongly classify a response, write only half a response, and write illegibly. These problems, to a great extent, can be reduced simply by checking the content for completeness and checking the responses for internal consistency. The way check the contents for completeness depends on the way the data has been collected. If the data has been collected by means of interviews or questionnaires containing some identifying questions, it is possible to visit or phone the respondent to confirm or ascertain the answers. There are two ways of editing the data. Number one is examine all the answers to the questions or variable at a time. Number two is examine all the responses given to all questions by one respondent at a time. The author prefers the second method as it provides a total picture of the responses, which also helps you to assess their internal consistency. Coding. Steps on coding qualitative and quantitative data. Step 1. Developing a codebook. Step 2. Pre-testing the codebook. Step 3. Coding the data. Step 4. Verifying the coded data. Having cleaned the data, the next step is to code it. The method of coding is largely dictated by two considerations. Number 1. The way a variable has been measured. Measurement scale in your research instrument. For example, if a response to a question is descriptive, categorical, or quantitative. Number 2 is the way you want to communicate the findings about a variable to your reader.
My name is Micah Tiginos, and I will explain to you the Step 1 in steps of coding. Step 1 is developing a codebook. A codebook provides a set of rules for assigning numerical values to answers obtained from respondents. Let us take an example list some question taken from a questionnaire. There are two formats for data entry, fixed and free. In this example, we will be using the fixed format to illustrate how to develop a codebook. The fixed format stipulates that a piece of information obtained from a respondent is entered in a specific column. Each column has a number, and the call.number in the codebook refers to the column in which a specific type of information is to be entered. The information about an individual is thus entered in a row or rows comprising these columns. For a beginner, it is important to understand the structure of a codebook, which is based on the respondent of the A responses given to the question listed. Column 1 refers to the columns in which a particular piece of information is to be entered. Allocation of columns in a fixed format is extremely important because when you write a program, you need to specify the column in which a particular piece of information is entered so that the computer can perform the required procedures. Column 2 identifies the question, number, and the research instrument for which the information is being coded. This is primarily to identify coding with the question, number in the instrument. Column 3 refers to the name of the variable. Each variable in a program is given a unique name so that the program can carry out the requested statistical procedures. Usually, there are restrictions on the way you can name a variable. You need to check your program for this. It is advisable to name a variable in such a way that you can easily recognize it from its name. Column 4 lists the responses to the various questions. Developing a response pattern for the question is the most important, difficult, and time-consuming part of developing a codebook. The degree of difficulty in developing a response pattern differs with the types of questions in your research instrument.
I'm Jessamine B. Jesta, reporting the step 2 of coding, pre-testing the codebook. Once a codebook is designed, it is important to pre-test it and any problems before you code your data. A pre-test involves selecting a few questionnaires or interview schedules and actually coding the responses to ascertain any problems in coding. It is possible that you may not have provided for some responses and therefore will be unable to code them. Change your codebook if you need to in light of the pre-test. Step 3. Coding the data. Once your codebook is finished, the next step is to code the raw data. There are 3 ways of doing this. First is coding on the questionnaires or interview schedule itself, if space for coding was provided at the time of constructing the research instrument. Next is coding on separate code sheets that are available for purchase. The third one is coding directly into the computer.
Hi, I'm Alcina Tesa. I'm gonna report about verifying the coded data. Once the data is coded, select a few research instruments at random and record the responses to identify any discrepancies in coding. Continue to verify coding until you are sure that there are no discrepancies. If there are discrepancies, now examine the code.
Good day, my name is Camille Lopez and I'm going to present to you the data processing in qualitative studies. How you process and analyze data in qualitative studies. There are 3 ways in which you can write about your findings in qualitative research. The first one is narrative, developing a narrative to describe a situation, episode, event, or instance. Second is the identifying the main themes that emerge from your field notes or transcription of your in-depth interview and writing about them, quoting it extensively in verbatim format. Third is quantify the main theme in order to provide their prevalence and the significance.
Let us now proceed to is an open, honest, and transparent process. One of the participants says that it is an open process for all stakeholders. In this case, it is open for all. Everyone knows what's going on. Greater informality, more frequent review of cases, increased honesty, transparency, and accountability, a fairer goals set for the clients are more attainable and workable. Quality to the relation of expression to opinion, a less chaotic process, a less stressful approach, fewer conflicts with families, equality for the research of a facilitator for an increased relation for a practice, total responsibility for cases, compliance with the government's child placement policy. Now, let us talk about the role of statistics in research. Statistics have a role only when you collected the required information. Once data is collected, you encounter two questions. First question is, how do I organize this data to understand it? And last question is, what does the data do?
There are many ways of finding or presenting information. The choice of a particular method should be determined primarily by your impressions, knowledge of your likely readership, familiarity with the topic and with the research methodology, and statistical procedures. If your readers are likely to be familiar with readings, data you can use complicated methods of data display. If not, it is wise to keep to simple techniques. Although there are many ways of displaying data, this chapter is limited to the more commonly used one. There are many computer programs that can help you with this task. Broadly, there are 4 ways communicating and displaying that analyze data. These are text, tables, graphs, and statistical measurement. It is therefore essential that you know how to communicate effectively, keeping in view the level understanding, interest in the topic, and need for academic and scientific rigor of those for whom you are writing. Your style should be such that it strikes a balance between academic and scientific rigor, and the level that attracts and sustains the interest of your readers. Of course, it goes without saying that a reasonable command of the language and clarity of thought are imperative for good communication. Your writing should be thematic, that is, written around various themes of your report. Findings should be integrated into the literature, citing references using an acceptable system, logical progression of thought, and the layout should be attractive and pleasing to the eye. Language, in terms of clarity and flow, plays an important role in communication. According to the Commonwealth of Australia Style Manual, the language of well-written documents help to communicate information effectively. Language is also the means by which writers create the tone or register of a publication and establish a relationship with their readers. For this relationship to be productive, the language the writer uses must take full account of the diversity of knowledge, interests, and sensitivities within the audience. Next way is the tables. Other than text, it is the most common method of presenting analyzed data. It is offer a useful means of presenting large amounts of detailed information in a small space. It can dramatically clarify text, provide visual relief, and serve as quick point of reference. It is therefore essential for the beginners to know about the structure. Table has 5 parts: the title, the stub, the column heading, the body, and the supplementary notes or footnotes. It has 5 parts: the titles, the stub, the column heading, the body, and the footnotes or the supplementary notes. Title. This normally indicates the table number and describes the type of data the table contains. It is important to give each table its own number, as you will need to refer to the tables when interpreting and discussing the data. The next one is list tab. The subcategories of variables listed along the y-axis. This tab, usually the first column on the left, lists the items about which information is provided in the horizontal rows to the right. Describe this tab as a vertical listing of categories or individual about which information is given in the columns of the table. The third one is the column headings. The subcategories of a variable listed along the x-axis in univariate tables or tables displaying information about one variable. The column heading is usually the column heading. The subcategories of a variable listed along the x-axis in univariated tables or tables displaying information about one variable. The column heading is usually the number of respondents or percentage of respondents. In bivariate tables or tables displaying information about two variables, it is the subcategories of one of the variables displayed in the column headings. The fourth one is the body, the cell housing the analyzed data, and the fifth one is the supplementary notes or footnotes. There are 4 types of footnotes. The fourth one is the body, or the cells housing the analyzed data, and the last one is the supplementary notes or footnotes. Source should be identified at the bottom of the table.
I'm Natalie LG. I'm here to present the graphs. Graphs is a graphic presentation is constructed in relation to two axes, horizontal and vertical. There are types of graphs. The first type of graph is histogram. Consists of series of rectangles next to each other. Their height is in proportion to the frequency they present. Next is a bar chart. It's used for variables measured on nominal and ordinal scale. Next is stacked bar chart. It is similar to bar chart, except that in the 400% chart, it is very similar to stacked bar chart. In this case, the subcategories of a variable are converted into percentages of the total population. Next is the frequency. It is also similar to histogram. The frequency bar is drawn by joining the embedded point of each rectangle at a height commensurate with the frequency of that interval. Next is the cumulative frequency polygon or cumulative frequency. Surveys drawn on the basis of cumulative frequencies. Next is the stem and leaf display. It's an effective, quick, and simple way of displaying a frequency distribution. Next is the circle or pie. It is divided into sections in accordance with the magnitude of each subcategory, and so each slice is in proportion to the size of each subcategory of a frequency distribution. Next is the area chart. This is plotted in the same way as a line diagram, but with the area under each line shaded to highlight the total magnitude of the subcategory in relation to other subcategories. The last method is statistical measures. It is extremely effective in communicating the findings in a precise and succinct manner. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Bye-bye!